Hello and welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and others. Another exciting stream with yours truly, Captain Finch. Welcome. Today, we're going to do Minecraft things, if it wasn't obvious already. But more specifically, we're going to be playing around with a particular mod add-on that was released somewhat recently. I'd say pretty recently. Like, what, a week ago? About, give or take? Something like that. Ah, my face. There's my face. Gotta build trades. More specifically, we're gonna play with Guido's Blocks and Bogies mod add-on. So, this is a bit of a thing for a bit later on, because I have a plan. The stream is going to achieve, hopefully, three things. One, for obvious entertainment value for me streaming this. Secondly, to do some hands-on coverage of how the Blocks and Bogies mod works, because I don't think, at least for the time being, there's anyone out there that's made an official video for how the mod works quite yet. And I'm gonna see if I can make a short video on how to handle that. And then, lastly, I'm gonna show you guys how to build a train with this stuff. So strap in. If you want to make a train with the stuff that I'll be using in this train, stay tuned and we'll go through the process. We'll see how long it takes, and this is technically gonna be like the first time I'm not gonna be doing this, of like showing people how to build this. Locked in and howdy. Heidi, welcome. So, first and foremost, I need to delete some of this stuff here real quick. So, Blocks and Bogies. Guido's Blocks and Bogies. This is a mod add-on that predominantly focuses on adding new bogey varieties for the Create mod. More specifically, it allows us to go and use wheels that are beyond the two standard that were already given with the Create mod. In order to interact with the mod, firstly, you need to download it. There's multiple sources to get it, and it's on only for NeoForge for Create 6.0.6, and it's on Minecraft version 1.21.1. So those are very important notes. The mod only exists for that Minecraft version and for that Create version. Otherwise, this mod will not work. But once you have it installed, you will basically place down a train casing, like you normally would when you're assembling a train at a station. And once you have a bogey placed down, you want to go ahead, and for me, it's left control, but by default, it's left shift key. You want to crouch and right-click with an empty hand. This will bring up the new UI system. So, from here, we have a bunch of different options. And when I say a bunch, I mean, we've got a lot of options. We have so many options. So I'm not gonna go through like every single individual one, because there's gonna be a simplification of how everything is supposed to work. But the short and skinny of it is, you'll go into this menu after you shift right click with an empty hand, and you'll want to toggle in between whether you want a standard bogey variant or a driver bogey variant. From there, you have options of the axle count. You have single axles, 2 axles, 3 axles, 4, all the way up to 6. Insane 12-wheel drivers. We'll come back to the drivers in a second, but the thing to understand, at least with the standards, is at least you have I like to call it a naked variant, standard naked variant of the bogey types, and it goes up to 5 axles. So you can see here, you can hold mouse 1, you can rotate around just to get a full view of it. You can hold right mouse button, and then you can scroll to kind of get a close-up view on it. There's a nice little speed indication here, You simply just increase or decrease it with your mouse wheel by hovering over it, and it'll show you how fast it looks with the animation when it's in motion. In some cases, for certain bogey types, you're going to see that there might be an alternative version that you can mess around with. For example, standard, axle count 1, we have 2 variants. The default one, where the single axle wheel is going to be lined up exactly where the train casing is going to be, as well as an offset version, which, as the name implies, it offsets it. Cool. Good. Great. Now let's move on to the driver variants. So all the drivers will have, by default, 2 sizes, large and extra large, with the exception of the 6-axle. It is only stuck in large variant. The differences between the two is that large axle-driven wheels are approximately about a meter tall, give or take, so like 1 block tall. Whereas if you're talking about an extra large, this is about 2 blocks tall. And we'll go into how that looks here in a moment. But with every single axle variant for the drivers, you have a few other variants. For example, in the 6-axle variant, you have the default length and the extended length. So far, this is the only variant that we have for the 3-axle drivers. And there is planned for potentially more variants in the future, as well as the increased bogey count. We also have valve gear variants, as well as style. Let's go over style first, I'm thinking. So style in the context of the driver wheels is the distance from the steam chest to where the actual valve gear portions would be connected. So by default, it will be automatically set to long. You can have it set to short. As you can see, it's about a block distance away from the frontmost driver to where the steam chest would be. Or you could just go completely pistonless, and it's just the coupling rods for that type of driver. However, you can also opt in to using Wallstrit's valve gear. This is the only valve gear available for all the driver variants. And like I said, with the exception of the single axle, you can have it be either a short stroke or a long stroked valve gear. And then with those exceptions, you can also have basically the create variant valve gear, the Scotch yokes. Standard, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice as well, though, that the yokes also have an extra large variant as well. So just to show an example of how these things look, let's go ahead and just keep this one as a standard 2. We'll go back a few blocks here, place one down. Again, to access the UI menu, you'll want to either crouch or shift right-click with an empty hand. We'll go into driver variants. Let's say I want to make a Pacific class white configuration. So that's a 462 wheel configuration. We'll have the middlemost bogey. We'll set that to extra large. We'll set that to long stroke. That's fine. We want the cool valve gear, because why not? Now, perfect example here. The wheels and the direction that the steam chest will be facing are not always going to be facing the direction that you want it to. We want it to go into the frontmost direction whenever you're placing down a bogey. In order to do that, with an empty hand, simply just right-click on the spot where the train casing would be placed on the track, and it'll simply rotate and correct itself. Keep in mind, however, when you go about assembling any sort of these bogies, and I tested it for the different world axes that you would be building things off of. So it doesn't matter whether or not you're building either west to east or north to south, you're actually gonna want to have the wheels oriented correctly. So, what do I mean by this? Set this up. Assemble our train. As you can see, it done goofed. The steam chest did not go the way that we want to. This is a persistent bug, and hopefully that's going to get fixed in a future patch sometime in the near future. But a simple fix to this problem, all you gotta do, just make it face the wrong way, and once you actually assemble the train, it will correct itself. So don't freak out if you're building a train, you're trying to see how it's gonna look later on, and you assemble it, and you see the steam chest literally go the opposite direction that you want it to. It's fine. It's a little annoying, but this has kind of been a persistent bug that's existed even with the extended Bogies Borked mod. So just something to keep in mind, you know. Go ahead and disassemble this. So let's say we want to keep that there, and then we want to have the backmost one be the single axle. All we gotta do, set this to truck, go single axle, and then we can choose to have it be a standard or trailing. Since this is technically the tail end of the locomotive, we'll set that to trailing, and you can see it has a nice little texture model of the whole axle box and its encasing, and that's cool and amazing. We'll go ahead and just glue this separately as we assemble this. Like I said, want to make sure it's facing the correct direction. And there we go. It's basically how you would want to have the wheel set up if you want to make a traditional Pacific class steam locomotive. Another little tidbit when it comes to just an ease of use. If you so happen to find yourself in a situation where you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to use the extra large drivers. They seem a little too big, but I don't want to have to go into the menu and then just toggle through everything, like go to here, scroll here. I don't want to have to do that. That does change it if you go about a specific bogie that's placed on the track. However, a much faster way to go about changing the size of the drivers, all you gotta do, right-click the track. That's it. Right-click the track, and it's just gonna change its size right away. Simple. Easy. As far as general features, that's pretty much everything that you need to know. As simple as placing down a bogie on an assembled state for a train station. Walk up to it, shift or crouch right-click, choose whichever bogie variant you want, whether you want it to be non-valve gear, wall shirts, or Scotch yokes, whether you want it to be large, extra large, or if you're using the standards, if you want trailings, whichever axle variant, or if you want it, if in the context of like, if it's a single axle, if you want it to be set to default or offset. And there you go. So that's pretty much the whole gist of it. It's a pretty simplified mod, I would say, compared to like what we've been used to with extended bogies. And again, there's only wall shirts, valve gear at the time of this stream, but we may be getting more in the future. Just obviously, it's gonna take some time. So yeah, that's blocks and bogies. There's no other additional features that the mod has, as far as I'm personally aware. We don't have a means to unlink bogies, unfortunately, because the original input to actually make it be an unlinked bogie would just be to originally crouch right-click, but obviously now that's the input to access the UI menu. But it is what it is. We may have lost a few features, but we gained more variety for the newest version of Create. And honestly, that's all right in my book. So, with that prelude out of the way, we're going to build a train. And if you would like to follow along, It's going to be a bit of a process and a bit of insight to how I go about building these trains in Minecraft. But to go over everything that I'm going to be using today, like I said before, all the mods I'm using in my mod pack, you can compile them from wherever you want to use them, whether it be the CurseForge app, or on Modrith, or on the GitHubs, wherever you get your sources for your mods. And they have to be, for Minecraft version 1.21.1, they have to be the NeoForge version, because that's the only version that exists right now for the Blocks and Bogies mod. And it has to be for Create 6.0.1. Primary mods you're going to need. You're going to want Chipped, Blocks and Bogies, of course. You're going to want the Create Copycats block, or Copycats Plus, excuse me. You're going to want Pretty in Pink. Again, all these should be acquirable through your normal mod searching locations for modded Minecraft. You'll want Create Design and Decor, Rechiseled, Handcrafted, and Farmer's Delight. I would say these last two aren't as necessary. Well, I'm going to be using a few things with Handcrafted and Farmer's Delight. It's more so of using the canvas signs more than anything else, because I personally like the canvas signs, but, you know, that's more of a preference at the end of the day. But the main things for sure that you're going to want to use, these first 4 mods, and at least these last 2 mods. So 6 mods in total. And then for those who want to know basically everything else that I have compiled in this mod pack, this is basically all that I really have left. Is the bells and whistles. Trust me, I'm not going to use this often, if ever. But it's there. Dreams and Desires, just for added stuff for Create, as well as Crafting Editions and Stuffing Editions. They're 2 separate mods. They're all compatible. They all run on these variants of mod loaders / Create / Minecraft version. Alright. There's your list. That's what you need. And once you get those mods, make sure to use whichever launcher, just to double check and make sure your PC is able to handle these mods. Should be able to. It's pretty low maintenance, I would say. But once you get those out of the way, we are going to build this guy. Now, it looks a little ugly because it's mostly Copycats Plus. But bear with me, there's a reason behind that. This is my general workstation of how I go about building trains. I usually have a bit of a grease pit, so I can find a way to go underneath the rails. You don't have to build it out like I do. You just gotta make sure that you can find a way to hover underneath the tracks, because it'll be important for getting into the nitty-gritty details. But the reason why I have everything mostly in Copycats is because I'm enabling the creativity on your guys' part to color it however you want the end result to look like. I'm going to show you at least where everything is going and why things are in where they are in this general mess of stuff. But color palette is within your own creative freedom. That's the goal for today's stream. So, today we're going to be making an Atlantic wheel configuration steam locomotive. It's a 4-4-2 wheel variant. We're going to be making the tender, and then we're basically, one of the things that I've been picking up on, hiding a blaze burner driver in the tender, so then we can actually automate this train if you so choose to do that in your modded Minecraft playthroughs or survival worlds, whichever you want to do. Alright? Little cutaway here just to kind of show what the internals are. And we'll go about everything as we go. Also, I'm using a resource pack for the bell. It's, I forget whether or not if it's publicly available or not, but it's from Teacup. And it's a good bell resource pack. It's not a Create bell, it's actually the vanilla bell. Which is why it works pretty much throughout the different mod versions, so that's exciting. Anywho, With that out of the way, we're just going to actually move this guy not too far away from where we're working, because I'm going to be going through the step-by-steps of how I go about building it. Actually, let's have it be... Let's have this guy going this way. Whee. Another thing I also tend to do, if you haven't noticed, or if you're wondering, I have this just line of train casings. The reason for this existing is purely to measure out stuff. You don't have, again, you don't have to do the way that I do it, but if you must know, this is approximately 25 blocks in length. That goes down the entire length of track. And then this is a purpose of indicating the middle point of where I'm building, as well as indicating height. So this here would indicate the middle of the track length that I'm building on. And then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. So that's my length, and that's my height measurements that I reference whenever I'm building trains. That's just what I do. So, getting started. We want not that guy. But we'll want to crouch right click. We'll go into that. Just a standard. Just a standard wheel right there. And then forget how many blocks back. Move this forward a bit, actually. About there, maybe? Yeah, that's about right. Probably move it a little forward. There we go. That should be good. Yeah, that's about right. Alright, so this is about 1, 2, 3, 4. Either the 4th or 5th block back. Probably move it forward, maybe right there. Probably here. Change this guy. We'll keep it at 2-axle. We'll change it to driver. Extra large. Wall shirts. Confirm. Right click it to rotate it. And you want to make sure that the steam chest here is lined up exactly along with where the first bogie was placed. And then from here, should be about... Let's see. I want to say it was 7. 2, 3, 4. It's actually 4. So this back one here, this is going to be a standard single axle offset. And there we go. Because this is going to basically be a block farther back from where the drivers will be. Alright. So this is the locations, at least, that we're going to be focusing on for the locomotive half. And we'll see how things go. So, from here, I used a few things. Temporary block. Actually, no. Schematic cannon. I could just put that down right now. I did not learn this technique on my own. This is 100% stuff that I learned from other people's. Change this back. So I accidentally punched that out. There we go. But you can utilize schematic cannons on assembled train contraptions. So this will basically be the steam pipes that's connected up to our steam chest. And we'll work from the front to the back here. What you're gonna want to do, break these first few blocks of track. We don't need the tracks for where we're going. We'll go ahead, grab some... Not these. Copycat stacked half layer. We'll go ahead and grab the normal half layer. We'll grab some bites as well. And then we're gonna want vertical slice and normal slices. These are gonna be temporary placements, but we just want to make sure that we get the first one here. Boink. How did I do that? I have to keep... Oh, that's right. This actually gets to be a copycat pipe. Whoop. And then from here, we're going to mimic a knuckle coupler by 3 bites that should be sticking out like that up against the copycat's fluid pipe. Put that down there for reference sake. Actually, I have it go down. Wink. Gonna basically build out the entire pipe here, or pilot, excuse me. Gonna do 2 bites out on both sides. And we're going to carry this up by 1. Come here. I'm gonna grab bite panels. Fill in this space. Since this is an occupied block space, just gonna fill in the whole thing. Bite panels. From there, we're gonna want to... Whichever's cheaper, I'm probably gonna use slices here, but if you want to use the normal default steps, that also works as well. But we want to go underneath, place it down, and we want it to basically take up the same amount of space as a normal copycat step. Do that on both sides of this pilot. And then from here, we want our stacked half layer. I'm getting underneath, maybe? Actually, do a temporary block right there. Nope, wrong one. There we go. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll be the bottommost section of the pilot. And then from here, behind this section, we'll take the regular, like I said, stacked layered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just carry that back a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 5. And then in this space, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get a bit of the illusion of a curved pilot, but it's a short pilot, right? Where did that blow? What? Where did that go? I'm so confused right now. I heard it placed. Where did it go? I don't know. Oh, wait, how did... You know what? I'm not going to question it. Anyway, we'll want to bite right in there. And we actually want to go up at the diagonal. And this just needs to go back and fill in this space. This is basically the front most of the chassis that's connected to the pilot. And then this will eventually be the... I forget the exact terminology for some of it, but it's basically the front plates that covers the pistons in our steam chest. We want to mirror this on the other side. Like I said, we want a block in this corner here. 1 at the immediate diagonal, and then 2 following to the back. And then 2 connected to there. Alright. On the sides of the bite panel, a single slice, vertical slice on both sides. And then a slice, not that big, but a single slice that carries itself all the way across. And that's basically our pilot done. Now, the stuff that I'm using over there, let me pull the cool stuffs here, our fun girder-related items that we can utilize. Excuse me. So, did you know that metal brackets can go into copycat blocks? No? Well, you know now. We're going to want to place it into this top row of bytes, and we want to rotate it to where this little gray section is facing in towards where the coupler is going to be. Same for this side. And then we want to mirror it on the opposite end. This front byte, place a bracket. This one byte right here, take a diagonal metal support from Design and Decor. Right click into that one. Take a large metal girder. Just place that in right there. And that's your knuckle coupler. As far as what you want to fill in this space for the actual attachment of the knuckle coupler, I'll leave that to your discretion. And then the top part here is basically, it's meant to mimic the mechanism, the hand mechanism that's meant to uncouple the knuckle coupler, is what the illusion is up here. If it wasn't obvious, we're making an American Atlantic locomotive. So the thing that I actually used was these guys. What is it? It's a beam. It's called a beam from Design and Decor. There we go. I have a funky looking texture when it's in copycat blocks, but you know what? I'm not complaining. Alright. Take this right here. Gonna be copycat half layer. One here. And then the full height right there. We're going to go ahead, grab a hull. It can be any color hull that you want, but the main important thing is whichever color that you inevitably choose to use is that the front three sections here that connects up the chimney, steam chest, and what have you, you want to have it be basically the same color. I'm just going to go and base it off what I'm already started, which is basically gray. Again, this is from Pretty in Pink. We'll do, let's say it was the normal steel hull. This part's a bit tricky because these guys can actually go into copycat blocks. And I gotta admit, it's kind of fugly. It's not great. We'll put a temporary block here. And we'll place it right on top of that. Alright? We want to make sure that the band is going in the opposite directions. And we'll want to basically mirror it on this middle one. Punch that one out. So you want the rivets going inwards on the section where the chimney is going to be. And then the lining is going to be the main flat faces of where the boiler is. Alright? Punch out that middle block. And we're actually going to put in a campfire. This will give us the ability to have the smoke purposely come out of the chimney. At least whenever the steam locomotive is idle. And then from here, we'll want temp block here. Mirror it on the other side. We'll want to grab stacked half layers. And then we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 on both sides. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Punch these out. We'll grab a copycat half layer. Did I use a... Yes, I did use that. So copycat half layer. We'll want to do 2, 3, 4, 5. A little bit showing. Actually, 6. Yeah, because I wanted it to connect up to that wood piece of where the schematic cannon is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With the copycat half layer. Make sure you want to do it from the underside of this top section here. Because then we're going to put one right there. This is going to be our implication of the entire running board, and that's going to carry over all the way down up until we get to the cab of the locomotive. Do it on both sides. And this spot right here, we actually want to utilize copycat paint, because it's a subtle step forward from the location of where this would be implied stair railings, and then it links up to the running board. Top section here, we're going to want to grab a slice, just the normal copycat slices. From this corner here, 1, 2, 3. Other side, 1, 2, 3. And then we're gonna grab a lever, put it on the frontmost boiler block here, and flick that thing on. This is gonna be important, because now we're going to grab a design and decor front light. I know they used to be called floodlights. I'm probably going to refer to them as floodlights, but you want them to be whichever color variant, metal variant front lights. You gotta slap it down right in the middle. I'm going to take our wrench. We're going to right-click that front face, so then we can orient it in the diagonal form, and we're just going to leave it as the hooded variant as is. We'll take a copycat bite plate. This is to eventually imply the build number or the running number of the steam locomotive. Again, subtle details, implications. It's the stuff that I like to do. We'll want to grab, in our next step, just to finish off the front face of this steam locomotive, grab a copycat layer. Nope. No, build it out. You'll want a copycat layer that sits literally right on this top edge of the boiler. We'll grab a create bracket and right-click it there. And see how we no longer have any Z fighting? That's perfect. And the reason we want this here is because we want a registered flat-facing block state, so we can place down our bell, because otherwise it would not be able to place without one. So there you go. Get a layer, put down your bell. There's your bell. Cool beans. Next thing, we want corner slices. Corner slices. From the bell, we want to basically try and aim for this bottom corner here. We got to 1, 2, 3. Mirror it on both sides. Nope. Trying to. Or maybe I can do... There we go. Aiming at the bites easier. 1, 2, 3. This will basically be additional lights, as implied by there. And forgot to mention, the reason why we want to have this lever in this boiler and flicked on is because without an active redstone signal, this floodlight would not stay on. There's no other way to enable the front lights to have any sort of light source without a redstone signal. So, unfortunately, that is how we're going to do it. And thankfully, levers will help keep that as is. I think another alternative, if I'm not mistaken, you could just use a torch, no? We're gonna experiment a little bit here, actually. Does that work? That does not work. We don't... Okay, so redstone torch does not work. What if we had a redstone block? Because there was, unfortunately, a problem that I saw early on. Yeah, that doesn't work. So it has to be a lever. Alas. Lever. Cool. Yeah, it's a shame, but when it's assembled, it will stay on, as you can see. This is the assembled example that I had pre-built. And it does work. And it's glorious and amazing. The only caveat that I noticed, though, whenever I disassembled this train, was that the front lights straight up just disappear. They don't pop off. They don't, like, fall to the ground when you toggle an assembled train to disassembly at a station. They just vanish. They're just gone. So just something to keep in mind whenever you're building this in survival. I don't know if that's a bug or if it's intended. Maybe there's some weird compatibility issues going on with certain mod types. Hard to say. I don't have the answer to it, but it's something you're gonna have to keep in mind. So, moving swiftly along, though, to cover this entire section up, I'm gonna grab a chute, a create chute, just the normal chute, boink, and there we go. That way we have a little bit of a pseudo, not curve, but it's an implied structure to how the chimney is going to end up looking like. We'll grab a copycat slice, just a normal slice, and we have a copycat layer. Just place a layer right on that top cover. Now you could honestly leave it like that, and that will look good on its own, but I like to kind of make it a bit of a wider rim at the top of the chimney for the locomotive. Again, creative choice, creative liberties of whatever you choose to do. Grab a stacked half layer, and we're just gonna... Actually, this is gonna be temporary blocks, technically, but we'll grab some pretty in pink, gray corrugated steel. We're just gonna connect that up. Grab copycat half layer. Proceed to cover this up. I don't do it all the way because then we get some potential Z fighting going on. So I just want to do it where it's able to just touch the bottom edge of this boiler here. Although I did it fully on this one, so I guess it's whatever. That's fine. And then from here, we can actually also add a running board detail. Still the half layer, or did I use... Yeah, half layers. Boink. I believe that's everything, at least from here. Oh, wait a minute. Steam chest. Copycat layer. With that, you're going to want to crouch and right-click, because this is where the schematic is. If you just right-click it normally, you're just going to get the schematic cannon interface, and we don't want that. So, crouch right-click with a copycat layer. Do it for both sides. We're going to want to grab a vertical... Boink. Vertical half layer. Cover that up. And then we'll get a normal half layer. Actually, just to make it more flush, grab a normal copycat panel. Do this for both sides. And then we'll get a bite. Boink. Just put that right there. And then just to kind of show as an example of what I'm looking for. So this would be like the normal look of the steam chests. Let me actually grab this guy. Just for texture. And thankfully they're connected textures, so it's a nice flush steam chest right there. We can do the same for the underside here. Not as flush, but the implication of just soldered steel is cool. And then with this section, put those in, and that's our covers. that's the piston covers for our steam chest. Cool beans. And the only problem is that there's no way to actually cover the top, but that was kind of the compromise that I inevitably decided on. The alternative, of course, you could just use a different colored metal variant. Whatever block type that you want to do. User's discretion of whatever you want to ultimately decide of how you want this to look. Take a sip of water. Stay hydrated out there. Don't want to lose your voice. Alright, so this section here, I actually learned this subtly from a Bubbycraft stream. Shout out to Bubbycraft. But when he was building his free-handed example of the steam locomotive, when he was also playing around with this mod, he actually went ahead and put a few layers of horizontal half layers, and then he just threw on a girder, the thick girder, and there you go. Now you kind of have the depth detail of basically your entire front valve gear going into the steam chest. I thought that was a really cool, neat detail. So shout out to Bubbycraft for making me discover that little tidbit, at least with this new stuff. Cool, fun, exciting. Put a slice in there, right at that edge, and then we'll go ahead and put down 2 layers of that. Large metal girder. There we are. That should be the steam chest section done. So that's pretty much everything out the front pilot and the front boiler. Gonna swiftly move along. We grab bites. We grab these guys. Now you might notice there's a bunch of barrels on the inside section here. The reason for that, in this context, is I want to enable the feature for these guys, for you guys specifically, of finding a way to store fuel in your steam locomotive build. And this is just one of the examples that you can utilize it. Now you might be thinking, what are you talking about? Trains don't need fuel to operate. Yes, that is correct. However, that still doesn't negate the ability to utilize item interfaces and barrels or chests to have the train feed off of burnable fuel to have it run faster. Just saying. So that's the reason. We're putting inconspicuous barrels inside the boiler. Not that one. Just so it's able to have a stored intake of burnable fuel, so it's able to run faster. It's not an option that you have to take, but if it's something that you would like to have, there you go. This is how you do it. This is a way that you can do it. But we'll go ahead, take our stacked half layers. We're gonna want to go 4 out, top to bottom, in this block face. We're gonna follow the entire length of the barrels that I placed here. Underside, we'll grab normal copycat half layers. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, running board. 1, 2, 3, running board. Leave this section blank. 1, 2, 3, running board. Actually, this section also needs to be bytes. Turn this entire section to bytes. Put bytes down here, and then we'll extend it out. Basically, you want an upside down stair with these bytes in this block section, in this space. And then we want a mirrored stair configuration with bytes up here. The reason why it's bytes versus stairs is because we're going to take a bracket, throw it in on both the top and bottom here. Just section off these segments of the bytes. We're going to also take our diagonal metal support, go right behind here, and that'll connect right up. And this is basically our air pump. The implied air pump for our... basically, for the air system for this train. I wasn't really able to figure out a spot to put, like, a dynamo on this thing, but it's fine. If you really want to, as a suggestion, more than anything else, you could utilize this space here just to put a pseudo dynamo, and then have maybe some kind of a way to connect up to the rest of the train. But for this example, I'm just going based off of what I was able to kind of figure out on my own. Different blocks. Let's see here. Going to be gray, black, black. Steel boiler. Rotate those around. There we go. And then an extra step that if you really want to utilize, go 2 byte panels, and then we can grab from handcrafted some corner trim, and we can get mangrove corner trim. Rotate these around. And there we go. Pseudo implication of an air pump. Easy peasy. We'll go on the underside here, and we're gonna just start placing down, not there, a bunch of bytes. So what I basically tried to do here, I wanted to subtly put in a way to indicate suspension springs for the drivers, because that's actually something you tend to sometimes see on steam locomotives, but more often than not, they're very much hidden away in the chassis of the framework. And especially since I don't have to worry about trying to build up valve gear detail, because holy shit, we have Walshirt's valve gear now. I don't gotta worry about that. So now I'm putting in extra detail into spots that you otherwise weren't really able to really focus on in certain aspects. And that is putting in suspension. So there we go. And then we'll come back to this section later, but we'll go ahead and fill in these 2 bits here. And we'll fill that in with something else later on. Scaffolding. Put that right there. Right on top of the... right where the bogie is. 1, 2, 3 with a half layer. And then a 4th for the outer bit. Actually, different on this side. That's right. Okay. Never mind on that. Punch those out. Grab normal copycat slices. Temporary blocks. We want 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how big we want these slices to be. I know it's kind of clipping into this segment here, but we're just not going to worry about that. But we basically want to have these be here because this is going to be a subtle implication of an air tank. Or steam radiator pseudo area. Kinda, sorta. Use your imagination. Be creative. Be creative. Like Rambo. Be creative. Nope. 1, 2, 3. Running board. And then we're gonna, in this bottom section here, we want to mimic the suspension that we did. So it'll be 3 back. Nope. 3 back. There we go. Grab our metal supports. Put these in. Rotate those out. And the same thing we used here for gated steel. Just want it to be facing that way. And then we'll take our bites and just finish off that connection on the underside. Something else that I tried to do, and I'm not too proud of it, and it's not entirely necessary. I might honestly leave it out in my final example, but I have bites on the back end of the drivers here because I wanted to put in implied brake shoes. So you would, if you want the brake shoes, then this is how you want to do it. Just find a spot just behind the drivers here, or you can do it in front, whichever is version that you want it to be. But you can put bites in its place, just 2. And keep in mind, it's like 2 separate block spaces, because this lower one is basically the same level as the track, but then the one above it is where the bogie train casing segment would be. So just something to keep in mind. Metal support. And then we're going to want to grab another trim. This one's going to be blackstone. We want to rotate it so then we get the stair corner facing towards the driver. Although, I use a different trim. Give me a different trim. I want deep slate or diorite? Let's do deep slate. Deep slate's probably a bit closer to color palette. Oh yeah, definitely. Wink. Mirror that on the opposite side. Nope. Implied brake shoes. Oh, I gotta sneeze. No, don't go away. No, the sneeze. It went away. Oh, that's gonna suck.
More water. I gotta be able to talk without losing my voice.
Alright. Moving swiftly along. Copycat half layer. Right in this section at the top of this boiler. We're going to want to crouch and place. This one we'll want 4 high. This one, we just want to carry that all the way to the top. And then on the opposite side of this middle barrel, excuse me, do the same thing. Full block face, and then 4 here. We want it literally the same dimensions as a step. As a normal create step. That's all you gotta do. And then from there, we want slices. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Never mind, skip that one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll want stacked half layers. Crouch. Right click. And we want it to be 1 short. That would be lined up from this top section of the normal stacked half layer that's there. And then 1, 2. We want a gradual curve here. Oh. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Then that curves up. Grab a half layer, or a copycat layer. Lock that right down there. And this is basically your steam dome or sand dome. I like to, the way I'm thinking of how it's set up is that the frontmost hump of the steam locomotive is the steam dome, and then the one immediately behind that would be the sand dome. It's just how I imagine it. Alright, this next section here, we're gonna want to actually grab copycat slabs, Put 2 up there. And then from back there, we want to... How did I do it? I think it was stacked half layer. Yeah, it is stacked half layer. Fill out this whole bottom half like it's a normal slab. Do 4. Again, this is going to be the same measurement as a normal step. Copycat layer. Copycat half layer. Grab our slices. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I think this one can either be steps or more slices. But we just want it to start filling out 2, 3, 4. Same size as a copycat step. And that's the middle of the locomotive done. Sorry if this is a bit confusing for some people. And I know it's a lot of copycat blocks to kind of fill in. But we'll get there. We'll get there together, I promise. In the end, it's gonna look great. Next few things. We're gonna want copycat vertical. And also normal half layers. And I guess also regular layers. Nope. Nope. Actually, you know what? There's a steam chest. Or a fluid tank in there. Find a fluid... Ugh. Find a fluid tank. Grab a fluid tank. Put that in there. Get a whistle. Grab your whistle. Not there. Put it there. Unfortunately, it's only going to be an F-sharp key. But, you know what? That's fine. Right above this, we'll grab a brew stand. And we're just going to literally plop it right on top. And we're just going to ignore the Z fighting. I know the Z fighting is rough. Trust me, it's a little disorienting. But we're not even going to see it. We're not even gonna see it. It's a non-issue. It's okay. Oh, son of a... Excuse me. This is per tradition. This is per tradition. Oh, I don't have carry-on. Well, in that case... Just gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. Old-fashioned way. Old-fashioned way. we don't want merchants. Sorry, I had to witness that. Anywho, moving swiftly along. Grab our stacks, grab our vertical, normal half layers, all the things, right? We're gonna want to get this guy. How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. Not the front one. So this will be 4. This one will be 5. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As we start to slowly start shaping out our firebox situation. That's what it was. Okay. So we want to finish off this underside here of bites. Those in as well. Grab our stacked half layer. 1, 2, 3. Assuming I had it the same on this side, right? Actually, it's farther out. All right. Hold on. Triple checking. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's right. Oh, I understand. Okay. Well, wait, how did I do... Oh. Did I just confuse myself? I did. Okay. So punch out some of this stuff. 4 there. 5 there. Yes. Same deal on this side. 5 there. And then here, we're going to take our layers, normal copycat layers, and just pull it all the way up. Nope. To 5. 5 there. 5 there. And then stacked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Or is it more than that? Looks like 4, maybe? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Yeah, I think I had it to 5. And then on the underside here, place a byte there, because there's already a byte occupying this space. Go ahead and grab a half layer, build it from the bottom up of this block here, and then another layer sticking out there. Grab vertical half layers. Fill in that space there. This one's going to be fully covered, though, because right behind this wall, this is where our controls and the start of the cab is going to be. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And then down underneath here, I want to say I just did... Yeah, this will be a normal half layer. So on this underside, just put that right there. Right there. Beams. And then in this little alcove space here. Nope. Nope. Boink. There we go. Another barrel. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 barrels in total so far. And let's build up this section here. Yes. So this can be slabs. Grab the slabs from here. Build that up on both sides. And then we'll want to grab a stacked half layer just to cover up that section of the bogie. Because honestly, this can be cool detail of something of other on that underside. And then half slab there. Grab layers. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be the start of the firebox for, like, the actual opening of the firebox where you would throw coal or wood or what have you into the inevitable ash pan to burn your fuel. And in this little section here, these 2 slabs, let me delete some stuff here, clear out my inventory. You're going to want to grab glowstone. And the one that I've been personally using is from Chipped. So you could go about just the default glowstone texture, if that's what you want to utilize. No judgment, nothing wrong with that. But as far as smoldering cinders, I've been using the bulbed glowstone. It will take up that backmost section there. And then we're going to want to utilize one of the newer block types in this create update, and that is the industrial iron window. Place that right there, and there's a little window. There's a little window into the inside of our place, or firebox. We'll want to grab, next, a concrete block. This will be also from Chipped. We want to grab the wired gray concrete. Put that right on top. This is our subtle implication of pipework and other such detail that would exist in the inevitable cab area of our steam engine here. We'll want to grab vertical half layer. Place that on both sides. This will be the window to peer out into the scene. And then we'll want to grab both train controls and contraption controls. And we're going to want to go ahead and take a campfire and put that inside the contraption controls. This lets us toggle whether or not the fireplace will actually be functional or not, and it works both for, well, not both, but like it functions. It's gonna function when you have it assembled. So, for example, it's turned on right now. If I hit it to turn it off, no more smoke comes out. If I toggle it back on, we got smoke again. So that's why that's important. That's why we have the campfire there. And that's why we have the contraption controls right there. Alright. Next thing. Layers. Temp block there. Copycat layer there. Copycat layer there. And connect that up. It's going to be 3 wide there. Do the same for this top section. But leave this one open and clear. We'll go ahead and grab stacked half layer. And we'll do this. Let me temp block. There we go. I think I had it build 4 out. Yeah, we'll build it 4 out. Boink. Boink. There. Do it on both sides. Nope. Point. Nope. Just gonna put this as a temp block. I guess I could just leave that there, though. Build that up. And we'll grab normal copycat half layers from this insect section here, building up our roof. And then we'll have this be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope. And then this next one should be 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Repeat that for both sides of our cab roof. So 6 on the outermost and 7 on the innermost wall. Cool. We'll grab our half slabs somewhere here. This should technically be, I mean, it could be whatever you want. I think I just did 2 double half slabs stacked on top like that. And that's fine. But again, you could utilize whatever you want. I think I'll actually go ahead and, well, nah, I'm just gonna leave it as half slabs. Alright, so half slab there. But this next one is gonna be a trapdoor. Because subtle detail that lets us open the cab roof so we have airflow. So that one's going to be a trapdoor. 1 slab there. Another slab there. It's okay. It's just not rendering because it's a little strange. It's fine. And from here, we want to grab stacked this bottom section. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3. So a subtle curve of the roof of the cab. Underside here, it's going to be a little interesting. We're going to get a pipe, copycat pipe, have it be the top section here. And then we want brackets going up into the pipe. So I'm right-clicking on the underside of the pipe. And then from here, we actually want stacked half layer. And you want this to go all the way out until you're just barely seeing that little bit of the axle of that back wheel. All right. Break that one. Just like that. So we're going to expand this by 1 block. Right in this section here. And then the immediate back section here. Another section of slabs. Just stacked right on top of each other. And then we'll grab a seats. I tend to usually default to black seats. But you can honestly use whichever color you wish. I forget if interiors is updated to this version of Minecraft. But interiors might look better. Just keep in mind that the handle or the armrests are going to be sticking out of these layers. Just something to keep in mind. Get another layer. Put that... No. Okay. Temporary block. Grab you. And we just want a layer on the floor here of our cab space. We'll want to get some light panels. Put those there. Grab slices. Just a normal slice right here on top of your controls. You can do like 1 block, or not 1 block, but like 1 layer or 2 layers worth. Probably just going to keep it at 1. But this is going to be like our throttle, essentially. And then we want a vertical slice right on the fireman's side, because that is where we're going to put a sight glass. We'll just want that to be 3 big. Alright. That blocks here. Oh, there we go. Because we're going to put in vertical half slices. Vertical half slices. Half layers, excuse me. Just going to build this up. Round out this side of the wall that's of the cab. And then in here, we actually want normal half layers. Fill in this entire space like it's a half slab. And then we'll do 3 from the immediate one that's coming off the back there. Like that guy. And then, if I recall correctly, yeah, I used bytes. Grab some bytes. Where's my bytes? Do I have bytes? I don't have bytes. Where's my bytes? Wait, what? Where are the... Oh. I'm not gonna question it. It's fine. Bytes. I need bytes. Where's the bytes? Give me the bytes. I just did a full block of bytes, and there's going to be a reason for that eventually. So grab this guy, diagonal girder. Break this temporarily. Just want that to go right up in there. Alright. And then from here, it should just be a matter of putting in... Oh, there's that space there. We'll just want to put in copycat ladder. Put that there. Both sides. Half layer. Put one on the underside. both of them. And that's, as far as I could tell, that should be all the copycat blocks placed on the locomotive. Done and dusted. Let me go about detailing this, just so you guys can have an idea as to the reason for the madness of why there's just so many goddamn copycat blocks. So, the reason, the short and skinny of it is that I like to utilize a lot of textures. And I do mean a lot of textures. One of the things I tend to pride myself with when it comes to building Minecraft trains is to not have anything that involves utilizing either Armorer's Workshop or Chisels and Bits. Both of those mod add-ons are ones that enable players to literally make any voxel-shaped block to their own pleasure. And that's cool and all, and I've seen a lot of cool things come from both versions of the mods, either Armor's Workshop or Chisels and Bits. But the problem I tend to have with that, not just because, like, there sometimes are some weird issues whenever you're putting them onto assembled trains, but it just takes so much time. It takes a lot of time to make super detailed voxeled segments to just put on a train, sometimes only ever once, you know? And as a means to avoid that kind of headache, especially long term, I just don't even bother. I just don't even bother with Armor's Workshop. And I instead opt into finding ways to incorporate other block types through chipped or rechiseled to add textures into things that you otherwise wouldn't expect them to in the copycats. And that's what we're going to do here. Add lanterns. Is it lanterns or lanterns? Yeah, it's lanterns. There's our front light. Oh, well, actually, let's use the other one. Lantern. I think it's this one. Fancy sea lantern. Fancy sea lantern. There we go. Love that. And then steps. We'll use the trim. Make this face this way. And then this front pilot here. Gonna grab pillars. What kind of pillars? Maybe deep slate. This deep slate one, or maybe even this cobbled one. Let's see here. I have basalt. Or coal. Coal's probably too dark though. Mud is also a good option. It's like subtly blue to me. Got pillars again. Mud is always a good option. Here we go. Oop. Deep slate. And then we could just carry that up, and then trim. We could just add deep slate trim. Just that subtle indentation. And then that back piece there, we could probably just make that either a beam or the large girder. It looks a little rough, but nah, I'll take it. Grab some industrial iron. We'll want to use the one specifically from Design Decor because it has connective textures. That's kind of like a nice little thing. Just want to try and not use too much of it, though. This front cover here, I'm thinking... Actually, let's just punch that one out. We don't even need that front one. Ooh, Some weird textures going on. What's that? It's only one or two. How about we try this guy? I don't hate it. Let's do that. Make the underside all that pillar. And this section here, let's just make it probably also deep slate. But there's a texture from, forget whether it's chiseled or chipped or if it's from re-chiseled. There we go. It's from chipped. Connect those up. Those there. And that back one can be metal. Use pretty in pink. Get a steel tank. Is that the right color? Yeah, it is gray. Just feels wrong. Somehow, color-wise, it feels different than it should be. I'm sure it's fine. Alright. Something like that, maybe? Again, don't have to 100% copy what I'm doing here. I'm just putting in examples of how it could look. Sure. Line there. And then... yeah, put a deep slate pillar there. And then this can actually be frame casing. There's our builder's plate. That's the reason. So there's our builder's plate. And then from here, what color do I want to make this thing? Choices. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and finish off this top section of the chimney here. Bit off color, but that's okay. And then... oh, wait a minute. I'd instead use the normal panel. And then if I get... andesite bar? I mean, I don't hate it. I wish it took up more space than it could, though. Is there different bars? Do they add new bars? No, they're panes. Does the window work? Yes. That's what I wanted. it's a little grate guard for the top of the chimney, too. That's fun. Oh, I love that. Alright, cool. Let's see here. Such a dope looking train. Thanks. Thank you, Sky. Much appreciated. I've been doing, I tried to advertise a build along. So this is basically a semi-tutorial about my building process and enabling people to allow them to basically copy what I'm building just so they can have a cool looking thing in a mod pack. So I've been having fun with it. Now I'm finding myself in a hilarious situation of trying to figure out color palette, because that was something I wasn't fully sure how I wanted it to look. I know one thing, though. I want to make this top roof section green. So I might at least do that. Okay, that doesn't place. Good to know. Da, 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 da. see here. Da, 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 da. And I utilize... I mean, that kind of works. It's not what I want, though. Unfortunately. Yeah. They took it away. Another thing decided to court took away. Arg. It's fine. Ba-na-na-na. Do I have these? How tall do I have these? I think they're 3 tall, actually. Yes, they are 3 tall. Ba-ba-ba. How do? How do want thing? Ah, God, no. No, I guess I could use this guy. Ornate iron trapdoor. Only problem is it's iron, so it's not any benefit unless it has a redstone circuit, I think, when it's assembled. Or maybe not. But we want things. We want color. What colored? Let's go to the create tab. We have all these block types. Blue is usually a safe bet, but I don't think I want to utilize blue. Blue is always such an easy default color. So is red. So is green. You know what? Scoria it is. Gonna utilize Scoria blocks. Give me a moment to set these guys up. Similar to how I have like this whole slew of copycat blocks, I like to have my colors and texture blocks kind of laid out just so I have an idea of what I actually have. I also have crushing wheels and the millstones. I'm not going to be using either of those. So it looks like this is all I got. Okie dokie. Is there any color palettes that match this in pretty in pink? Not really, no. Yeah. Not much, really. Can I go an extra step and just put hand railings on stuff? Man, I don't like how it just floats out there. Alright, that's fine. We're just gonna use Scorchia, though. So, with Scorchia, we want to... do that. And then... doesn't have connective textures, that's right. So then, in that case, we want this one. Layered Scorchia. Just carry that back. Till there. That in there. You in there. Nope. This can be... we'll do a black air tank. We'll do this. Utilize this. There we go. little bit of texture. Um, this outside bit, though, probably going to use a stone type. What type of stone, though? Maybe cobblestone? So I kind of want it to have a band of sorts. A color band. Cobblestone. Where is it? Where's the thing? You. Cut cobblestone. Yeah. Change these out, I'm thinking. Subtle running board detail. Cool. And then this under section here, it's gonna also need to be scorched up. Can't do that space. Could do there. And then let's grab the scorch up pillar. We'll go ahead and break these real quick. Just so we can put this stuff in. And then do that. So we have like a subtle band that goes across like that. Yeah. Cool. Go ahead and replace these things here. Brackets in. Very nice. And then the tops here. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably fine. That one we can make a wooden bracket. We could probably make it a touch taller too. Let me grab a layer. You know what? We'll use this. Because then we get subtly more detail. Like that. Very nice. It's what we're all about. It's the name of the game. Subtle detailing. Grab you. Fill in that space on both sides. And then this whole bottom section here is going to be the firebox. So we want to give that one a different color. You know what? Just do that. Does that work? Yeah. Something like that, it's fine, I'm thinking. Working with limited color palettes. But we're making it work. Slowly but surely. Nope, not that one. That one. There. Send that out. Yeah. I don't hate it. The subtle dark green. This needs to be that. There we go. And then this section down here, we can actually utilize horizontal. That there, put that there. And we can put normal brackets. Just so there's like subtle implication that's being hung up by some kind of wire of sorts. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. And this whole underside firebox situation. Can I get underneath there? Not really. I'm gonna punch out our driver wheels here for a sec. Do I use cobblestone again? Maybe? I think we do. Let's grab this guy. I don't like how that eventually looks. It's a little too loud. Again, for those who are watching this in the future, you can color this however way you want, as far as palettes and textures and what have you. This is all purely up to interpretation of how you want to design your ultimate steam locomotive. Given the freedom of creativity, be creative. There. And we want this to be driver march. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. I was like, it's missing something. You son of a... Again? How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Get off the train. It's not safe for civilians. Anywho. Okay. Moving along. These fucking things, I swear. So let's make... How do I want to do this? And maybe the rest of this can be cobble? I don't know. Feels like a not so big firebox, but it is what it is. This section. Sorry, I'm not talking as much now, because now I'm just like, where do I want to put things? Now it's just a matter of, how do I creatively want to add color to this? The answer I have to that is, I don't fucking know. But I do know I want this section to be cobblestone, because I want it to be a light color. So we're gonna go ahead and try and find something else to give it a bit more subtle detail. Maybe. This actually might end up having to be Scorchia. That can go there. Yeah. Yeah. Do that. That can go there. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Yeah, so then we have, like, the actual ash pan of the firebox just going down on the underside here. And it goes up into this segmented part. And then we have the rest of the boiler situated and figured out. Cool. Only thing that kind of sucks, I don't really have other implications of carrying the running board all the way back, except maybe using slices, which I might do. Do I want to do that? Can't do it here. Oh, I need it. Yeah, let's just do that. There we go. Nah, we're not gonna bother with slices. We're just gonna leave it as is. Is this slices or this slices? Okay. We're gonna change that out, actually. We're gonna make this specific part half layers, and then we're gonna carry that back. And the reason for that is we're gonna incorporate... Nope. Nope. We're going to incorporate trim here, specifically mangrove. Because I wanted covers. Because this is going to be a window here. You put glass for implication's sake. Grab a normal clear lead glass from Chipped. Put that there. Put this there. And then this is literally just going to be covering that section as like an awning, basically, for the sight glass. Do I want to change this out to a different texture? What if I did that, maybe? Yeah, you know what? Let's do that instead. Yeah. We love connective textures. Alright. This top section here can be mangrove, because I want it to be red. Dark green and red tend to be a pretty strong combo, I'd say. Oh, I could do this. Yeah! There we go. Okay, cool. Well, there's my trapdoor roof access idea. Mangrove. Let's see here. What textures do we want to utilize? Let's grab plank beams. Let's also grab... I do like the nailed variants from Chipped. They are nice. Let's see. Here, plank. Mangrove planket panels. Connect those up. Yeah. And then for this outer edge, could just do like... Oh, it's not going to show up though. Never mind. Mangrove. Yeah. Pegged mangrove planks. There we go. Cool. This outside edge here, we can make that also be trim. I'm thinking maybe deep slate. Oh, there is the weird sea fighting now. Eh. Not gonna bother with that then. Actually, we'll keep it a layer out. Why not? Do want it deep slate though, so maybe grab a little something here. Deep slate pillar. Yeah. Yeah. And this is gonna all have to be Scorchia. There we are. You know what I might... Nah, you know what? Leave it. We're just gonna leave it. But... glass... we want... let's use... where is it? Where is it? There it is. Critical lead glass. Put one on both sides there. Finish that off. Grab pillar. Make that this way. Nope. And then here, we can take wool, because this is essentially just an armrest. And then we'll grab red wool, I'm thinking. We'll do... crafted? Nah. Cornered? Might be a bit too vibrant. Actually, you know what? That's fine. I'm okay with that. Alright, time to figure out this mess. So, I know at least for the axle box of that backmost wheel, I'm gonna want to use bracket. Rotate it out, so then the metal piece, the flat edge of the metal bracket, is facing outward. And then this pipe here, probably just be one of these, right? Yeah. And then these slab sections probably make let's see. Boom, boom, boom. I don't want to use zinc. Actually change this section out here. Gonna make that a girder. Yes. And then there's not much other textures that I would be able to fully utilize. At least do that. Because I'm just trying to imagine how this section's gonna look. I didn't realize it said Vcuber and not VTuber till now, and I'm yeah, because it's a cube. It's what it's called. It's what I have in the about section too. But we like to have fun here on the funny train side of my content. Why do I want this? Do I want to use industrial iron maybe? Yeah, here. No. Make it the bottom half. Love it. Hooray! Man, it eventually you got it. It's okay. Well, we have this section in white here, so it's implied more firebox detail. Then this back section here can be something else. Ah. I feel like that could have been way more something. I don't know. Oh, well. Glass you. Put you in there. There's our sight glass picture. Grab a wood bracket. These are our gauges. Slash nozzles. Top section here. Just do it like that. And then the floorboard here. I would use boilers, but man, they just don't look good texturally. Ho-hum. Not sure. I will show a little trick here. So, copycat ladders here, they're fun and all, and you can take a texture, fill in that space, and that's cool and all. However, a little trick that I picked up from a Mr. T cup is if you put down a copycat ladder, but then you put in a normal andesite or create styled ladder, and it takes up that space. And look at that, you have the full texture of the ladder and how it's rendered compared to having to be limited to using a full block face to put these ladders down. Well, a subtle bit of brass actually might not be a bad idea. But maybe. Let's see. Those there. Those there. Yeah. Fortunately, the ladders only go into the copycat ladders, but I'm all for it, as long as it works. Just the fact that you can see it subtly pop out like that. It's always cool to see. We don't have the luck of supports. Bars aren't going to work. What kind of brass adjacent stuff do I have? Nothing good. We are going to do this, though. Because this is basically gonna be the drawbar connection for the tender. This top side can be detailed differently. So we should probably just do like that maybe? Yeah, I'm okay with that. What color should the footplate be? Maybe andesite casing? Do andesite casing. Yeah, it's a little weird. This here is fine, I'm okay with that. The rest of that, probably use a metal of sorts. Probably pretty in pink. Let's try... Maybe if I just did all that. Okay, I don't hate that now. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Well, there we go. So there's our completed locomotive. There's our there's our completed locomotive. Yeah. So you might be wondering to yourself, how do you want to glue this thing? Because when it comes to gluing, and especially with train contraptions, you're only ever allowed at most two train bogies. And the workaround for that is usually you can do 2 bogies connected to the same chassis, and then you would want one of the extra train casing bogies to just be articulated. However, With these types of valve gear, if you have it be glued with a second bogie on the same segment of the train contraption, it's going to bend like it's on a ball bearing. And that's never a good thing, because normally speaking, the steam chest most of the time is rigid with the rest of the chassis. So what we're going to do is we're going to isolate some gluing spots. I would suggest, for those who are actually watching along and have been wanting to try and glue good, build better, to pay attention very thoroughly right now. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually break down all these back tracks here, because we're going to need the space. We're going to want to get our glue, get this section here, and nothing here, but we might as well just put down something. We'll put a step in. Just want to make sure we fill in all the space of stuff and things. Okay, so this is an isolated segment. It's just the main bogie, and then this will also be an isolated segment. Just do that here. Oh, not what I wanted to do. This is fine. Actually, I want to make this much smaller. Take the glue. Frontmost. Alright, so that's isolated as well. We'll take from the driver all the way up to this segment here, right behind the backmost driver wheel. Okay, so we have our segments of train wheels isolated. And then how do we glue the rest of this? We'll want to start all the way back here from this corner of the roof. Bring it all the way down to the front of the pilot. Okay? Repeat the same thing on the opposite side. We're just mirroring it. Same deal. Okay? And then from this point here, actually, we're going to want a block taller. So from this temporary block placement here, grab that, and then just pull it all the way to the front. We don't want to go below this segment, because that's going to glue our bogie wheels. We don't want to do that. We want to hit this beam right here, just at the top. And that should connect everything from both sides, like the opposite sides, and then the middle together. So that's all glued down as it should be. All right. We'll want to triple check here. So from this section of the steps, grab that and bring it over across to the front pilot there. Again, we want to make sure that it's separate from where we glued this front bogie. Okay. And then the back stuff here. Yeah, because this is the end of it. So from here, we want to make sure to just glue it all the way up here. Oh, does that not connect? Here. Corner to corner. So from the bottom where the ladder is to this section of the roof, glue it like that. Oh, gods. Damn it. Mistakes were made. This is fine. Just gonna refill this space here. here. There we go. Yeah. So, grabbing this segment of track, gonna replace everything. Right? And then this is gonna break at least the front headlight, so let me just grab that and have that on hand. And we're going to assemble it all. And if we did this correctly, it should assemble. Just like that. Reconnect this front track here to the front. Now, we did mess up. Boink. Oh, wait a minute. The headlight didn't come off this time. Why did that happen? Weird. You know what? I'm not gonna question it, though. Fire's still in there? It is still in there. Okay. So, before assembly, always want to remember, rotate our bogies so they're facing the wrong way. But they will correct themselves once we actually assemble the train. There we are. Driver's facing the correct way. And then our backmost bogie also facing the correct way. Let's get inside here. And look at that. First try gluing, and everything's in one piece. There's no missing pieces. As you can see, we have 3 bits of bogie wheels. Oh, that's not supposed to be like that. Uh-oh. So this is actually a perfect example. It wasn't first try. Sometimes we still make mistakes. But as you can see, because the frontmost bogie and the driver is connected somehow, I don't know why, it's pivoting. And I don't want that. I think I glued this incorrectly. So let's see here. The way that it was bowing out like that, that tells me that this backmost bogie I may have accidentally glued to the main chassis. So let's redo some things here. That's correct. Did this on the other one. Okay, corner to corner. Same thing. Same deal. Corner. Corner. You. About most of that. All the way down. Here. Alright. That's all connected. Break some tracks here. Since these are technically bogies and they have the already implied gluing spots, I'm probably just not going to bother with that then. Let's see here. I want this section to go and connect here. Right. Same thing here. And then something I actually forgot to do. Glue the main driver wheels to the actual chassis of the train. And then from here, how did that even happen? It should all be connected. Oh, missing a piece. But if we check the curve, there we go. That's weird. Why did it? That's fine. Okay. This is fine. Everything's fine. A little strange, but that's okay. Trial and error. Okay, so... There. Yes? Yes, yeah. Okay, so let's go over this again real quick. Because I'm sure people are already lost, and I know I haven't exactly been talking. So the main things we want to make sure that we do... Unglue everything here. So this should be an isolated system. Can't fucking see. Nope. That's an isolated section. Right. And this section here, all the way to here, that's the drivers. From here to the underside of here. Corner. Corner. Same deal on this side. Corner. Corner. From here, this corner of the pilot to the top corner of this pilot. That's glued and dandy. From the top of this beam, we want to go all the way back to the cab, but we want to go a block higher, because we're grabbing the stuff that's up here. Alright, and then just to make it simple, we'll grab this section here where the driver placement is, and then we're just going to pull that glue. Oh. I'm on you. We're going to just pull that all the way up and through. That way it's connected to the top of the chassis of the steam locomotive. And if we assemble it, yep, everything assembles. The wheels are in the correct spot. That switched around. Go in the driver's seat. And if we... we missed some stuff. Okay. So the final gluing then will be this back piece. That's what it is. That's the part I missed. Yeah, so everything gluing-wise is correct. Everything that I've been talking about recently, just now, is correct. But we just want to make sure that we just take this, glue it to those seats. Just glue this segment, and it's just going to be a 3 by 2 by 2. There we go. And if we drive this around, it should be the drivers will stay in place. Yep. This back one is pivoting on like it's articulated. That's correct. And then this front one should also be pivoting on the turn like it's articulating, which it is. Perfect. This is exactly what we want. Again, you can get away with most people who like glue the front pilot and the driver and have that be part of the same chassis, and you're golden. But this is the way that I generally like to do it, where there's the separate sections that will still articulate as it normally would around turns, where the pilot, the driver, and the trailing set of bogies on a steam locomotive are just gonna turn when you're taking turns. So that's what we want. That's all good. I will also say you could probably get away with just putting in a trailing bogey right here if you don't want to deal with block built detail. That's up to you. I'll leave that to your own discretion. But this is the locomotive done. Now let's go ahead and go about with the tender. And don't worry, the tender's a lot more simpler. It's literally just a brick. So from the back end here, we want to go 1 and 2. So 1, 2. We want to change this to be standard. We want it to be default. And then from here, using temporary blocks, we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bogey. Alright. And then we're going to utilize a lot of layers. So many layers. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. You get it? We both have layers. Half layer, vertical half layer, stacked half layer. Let's grab some bites. And we're gonna want, let's see, hydrate. Thanks for the hydrate.
I was gonna grab that, honestly. I've been talking a lot for this pseudo tutorial.
Also, posture. Ooh, we're fine. Oh, goodness gracious. We're good. We're fine, though. We're living. Alright, so, from these bogeys here. Oh, I should also grab... there we go. Water slice. Let's see here. Gotta make sure the streamer's watered properly. Appreciate it. Oh, we also need half slabs. We need the half slab. Did I already grab half slab? Am I dumb? Yes. This is fine. Weird rendering issue, but it's fine. Okay. So from here, actually want to go ahead and just put in stuff and things to imply tender connection. Some subtle stuff. Yeah. And then we'll just use industrial iron still. But we'll leave that gap, though. I like leaving gaps when it comes to, like, the foot plate between locomotive and tender connection. It's just the subtle stuff that I like to imply. And especially for your Minecraft character, it's not... You're not gonna fall through that. Your leg's too thick for you to fall through something like that anyways. Get this guy. Oh, did I not use... Oh. Okay. We're gonna do some quick changes here. Quick changes, subtle changes. There we go. There we go. Okay, that's fine. So, stack half layer. We're just going to build that out all the way. And then we want to do... Remember correctly. Yeah, I have it curved in. Gonna go, what was that, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. We're gonna want to make sure that we do. It's not gonna do. Alright. Temporarily. Build that out fully. Same deal with this axle here. We just want it to be barely peeking through for that wheel. Push those back. And then, if I remember correctly, let me see here. Did I do it? Stacked. Yeah, because this top section is stacked. Okay. Ow. We're just gonna make this whole segment here the stacked layers. Stacked half layers all the way across. All the way across. Even to right here. And then you. Like that. Do that all the way across. Nope. There we go. And only for the bogey segments. For the wheels. Have it poke up until you see the axle head. And push this back by 2. Yep. Nope. Wrong block. Yeah, one. Cool. And then have this poke out. I believe that's 4? Question mark. 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this bottom section here is actually a separate block space above this now copycat step. So we can take our bite, throw that in there. Throw that in there. There we go. And then another subtle change, because you might be looking at that and you're like, well, how did you get it to be somewhat centered? Well, the simple answer is, instead of building it out like this, we're going to change our direction. Build that out from the centerpiece here. 2. So there's that. Get it on both sides. And then here, might change it, honestly. I'm trying to figure out if I can incorporate a certain thing. One of these. That involves taking up that entire block space. Yeah, that's okay. There we go. So yes, we'll take a red post box, exclusive from Create, and then we're just going to want to make sure that we place them down in a way where we don't see the flag of the post box. They're facing inwards towards the center of the chassis of the tender. And then from here, let's go ahead and grab normal half layer. Make sure to crouch right click. 1, and then we can grab slices. Yeah. Nope. Well, that could be interesting, actually. But it doesn't connect up to that, though. Hmm. Maybe something like that. Like like I was making this tender off stream before I started, and I was like, we might change a few things around as we go about the rest of this build. I do want to get this segment in though, so we want to utilize the normal half layers. We want to build this down from top to bottom. And then another separate segment to here. Grab a ladder. All the way back. Place that down. And then here we want our pipe, and we basically just want to repeat our knuckle coupler that's up at the front of the locomotive. And then let's grab this. Grab a bite. What's that? Did I use it? I did. Okay. So I want this. That in there. Bracket there. Grab the metal support. Put that in there. It may not be pretty, but this is probably as close to a knuckle coupler as we'll be able to get it. Put that in there. Bracket there. Yeah. Or have it face up. We'll have it face up. The main thing I want you guys to make sure you understand here is we want to make sure that we don't break any track that's going to be on the back end of this tender. Because since we don't have a means to incorporate steam in rails at this time, we're basically chopped liver of the mercy of how we are able to couple up more segments of trains in a contraption. So it won't matter too much for the front here, because most of the time, at least for conventional use for create trains, you're not really going to have a locomotive. Oh. Now you broke. You son of a... It's fine. Most of the time, you're conventionally not going to have a locomotive pushing from the front of the locomotive. You're not going to be pushing rolling stock. There we go. From the front of the locomotive when you're playing survival create. So that's why we can get away with breaking track here, just to get an extra bit of detail for the pilots. But since we're not utilizing steam and rails, we literally just won't be able to couple up anything from this front of the locomotive, which is fine. It is not a big deal. Genuinely. Okay, so from here, we want to take these metal supports, have them facing inward and away from each other. In the bites. And then let's grab brackets. Do I want to use wood or normal metal brackets? Metal brackets are fine. And then from here, I was thinking of using pretty and pink. Grab the gray corrugated steel. And then let's also grab steel boiler. And if my envision is correct, there we go. Something like that. We want the lines of the steel boiler to face up, actually. I think up might be better. So the rivets facing down towards the axle box. There we go. And then we want the long way of the corrugated steel to connect up to the rest of it. And that's basically our suspension for this tender. Cool! This section here. Let's see, do we want to just extend that out a bit? Maybe. Breaking all this stuff here because I want to lower the slabs. Let's go ahead and put in industrial iron, just so there's that bit of chassis detail on the inside. And then this part here, come back to that. Let's finish off this back end here. Let's get a half slab, 2 half slabs actually, because we're gonna, excuse me, utilize this specific block face. Have the flat end of the bracket pointing out, and then we're going to get a copper banded front light, and we're going to change it to be caged. Nope. Caged, rotate it, and then grab a lever, because since this is a full block state between the 2 copycat slabs, we can put a lever down, flick it, and now that's turned on. Good stuff. And then now, with the rest of these slabs, let's put in the rest of this stuff. Nope. Nope. There we are. Put this in. And then let's grab barrels. Yes, we're back on barrels. Remember up here for the locomotive, we had 6. But then we're adding, not there, 7, 8, 9. And then grab, nope, train controls. The reason why I decided to put train controls here is so then the player has access to being able to control a backwards facing train control, so it's faster for them to back up the entire train rather than relying on how slow it is to just do it from the one front facing locomotive. Also, I just remembered, I forgot to detail this one. We're just gonna do industrial iron. Yeah. There we go. Firebox detail. Just gonna band that entire front section there. There we go. And then this top section here, I'm going to use half layers. Do I have 2? I guess while we're up here, actually. Because this will be the section that we put our blaze burner. The blaze burner, for those who don't know, you can utilize as a valid mob to operate any train contraption in Create. And it allows you to literally just automate trains. And it's pretty damn cool to see these things running. The benefit, especially when you're utilizing the blaze burner, is mostly because if you're gonna put a normal mob in a seat, those mobs can die. They still retain the health values that they would normally as a Minecraft mob. Blaze burners are both a mob, but also an entity that's fused with the train. Part of the train, part of the crew. But yes, blaze burners benefit from never dying. So use blaze burners any way you can. Put the trapdoor right there. Grab an item interface. Not the fluid, but the portable storage interface. Plunk that down there. Place down a trapdoor so you can have access to it. We'll grab a layer. Cover up the lever. We can actually probably change out this train casing here too. It's meant to be a temporary block. Let's just do that. Yeah. Nope. There we go. Good stuff, good stuff. And then from here, we want to get vertical. We want to count it out. We want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do 1, 2, 3. Actually, we'll just make it 2. We'll just do 2. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, 5 gives us enough of a gap for a player to exit out of the locomotive freely. And it literally is just closing in that gap as much as you humanly possible. Oh, we're going to need to change that out, actually. Alright, give me a sec. So, a quick thing with the glue. Start from here instead of back here. From this corner, same deal. All the way down, still at the front buffer beam. And then this section, we're just gonna glue that section and do it there. That will be important for later. Grab. Do I want to do bites or do I want to do corner slice? Nope. 2, 3. Do corner slices. I did quarter slices over there, so 2, 3. And then we'll grab half layers again. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I do 5 or 6. Definitely just 5. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do 5 basically around the entire top section of the tender here. We're actually gonna stop there and put in 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That way we have a bit of a curve and a subtle separation of the basically where the water tank would be fueled up to where the rest of the coal bunker is going to be. Grab a vertical. Or do I want grab a stacked one. Grab a stacked half layer. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Half layer here. Do I want on the outside? That's what I want. Boink. Okay. 2, 1, 2, 3. So now I'm basically just detailing in everything that would be on the inside here. So actually break these here because we're gonna go ahead and fill in this inner section of stuff with detail. I would like to think Blackstone actually does a better job of making it feel more like lumps of coal than what you'd see like a coal block be. I would also argue that Blackstone's a bit easier to acquire comparatively. And then basically just want to make it be like subtle layers of coal that's strewn about in the coal bunker. And Coal, coal, coal. Not that one. Yeah. It's just subtle, different elevations of layered to make it look like different elevations of coal. This back section here, though, I'm thinking... Honestly, just make it just make this a half slab. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. I'm okay with that. This is the part where I was debating of how I wanted to actually color the damn thing. And honestly, I might still erase all of this up. I always want to just change things on the fly. We always have a choice in how we want to build certain things, and those choices will inevitably change the more you choose to work at certain aspects of a build. But we're looking pretty damn good so far, I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. We want to try... I don't think there's anything new that's from new create stuff that will fit in copycats, because I know one of the things I wanted to try and utilize was like the package frog port, but they don't go in copycats, which is fine, understandable. Post boxes unfortunately also don't go on there. I was thinking of using a potential display board. Again, these are all options that you can better emphasize and utilize, especially with design decor. Design decor actually have a few color variants for display boards, so that's kind of exciting if you want to go ham with different color variants in that regard. But if I'm being honest, there ain't too much else really I could utilize here. Yeah, bolts are kind of useless. Yeah, at least my application. But obviously we're going to use Scorcha. This is basically the whole damn thing done. Now it's just a matter of coloring it in. We're going to use layered, polished, pillar. I'm thinking we probably can get away with putting like 3 things there. And then connecting, nope, not these. These can honestly be full blocks too. Weird connective texture issue there. So, turn these into full blocks. Connect those up. And then this top section here. This can be something from Pretty in Pink. Make it this guy. Corrugated. Top rim of the tender. Maybe... Oh. Not that. Yeah, I don't hate that. Trying to think, though. Do industrial iron for the foot plate there. Do that there. that across. It's not the best thing in the world as far as textures and stuff. And honestly, I don't think there's a whole lot I could do to really try and color code pretty in pink with the color palettes that I've already chosen thus far. But again, you might have better success with other avenues of block choices. I do know I want to... How's this gonna look? Grab a few things here. I don't think these can go in copycat blocks. No. No. The table can, though. That's so weird, though. Underside here. Nope. Nope. Have that all connect up. So we're not even gonna see it anyways. There we go. Connect all that up. That's rounded off and smooth it over. I think honestly we should just make this bottom section here mangrove. Question here is... Oh yeah, that totally works. Yeah. And then this section here. Something like that. These. That there. You there. Do I just want to mirror that on both sides? Oh god. There we go. Problem solved. There. We'll just leave it like that. And then maybe brackets. Oh, you can't even see it. There. I'll have it face down. The flat side going downwards. Yeah. And then here, we can utilize the ladders again. Just a touch of brass. And then this back section here can honestly just be industrial iron again, I'm thinking. And it's a little flat, though. Yeah, I don't like that. Never mind. Needs texture. Let's see. Boink, boink. Alright, pretty in pink. Grab a gray thing. Let's do you. Steel tank. Oh yeah, there we go. That's a little better. This one... Do it like that. Sure. And then... something here. What can I put there? Maybe... here? Rotate those around. Yeah, I'd say that works. It's kind of a basic tender, but I didn't really pull any real references. I kind of just did this on a whim. I just winged it. Straight winging, you know? thinking, though, we could probably get away with slightly taller tender walls for the bunker, at least. Nope, too tall. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think that's probably as good as I'm able to really come up with as far as freehanding it. And that should basically conclude the pseudo tutorial thing that I decided to put out. So, not sure how everyone else did as far as train building, at least for those who decided to partake. But I hope at least with the stuff that I've done thus far has helped to help you hopefully learn a thing or two when it comes to fun side of train building. Now, before we want to assemble this, we of course want to make sure everything's glued together. What we're going to do, go about there, and then we want to have that, make sure that connects up right here. So these are all just temporary blocks, but since this is all one contained system, we can just glue it corner to corner, and that shouldn't overlap with any of our glue. And the reason why I changed this section here near the cab roof is because it would have affected some overlapping glue. Because we want to make sure we have this space be isolated in its own section instead of unintentionally bricking every glue connection that we've established thus far. Other things that I would suggest you doing, you can utilize a placard. Oh. Wait. Isn't that also from Design and Decor? Oh no. Design and Decor devs. You need to get your features back in, guys. We're missing your boiler hulls. We're missing placards. Was it Design and Decor? I'm gonna have to check that later. That's rough, buddy. Anywho, you could put down placards and then put an item in there. Let's say, let's see. Let's do like a berry, right? Let's just throw in a sweet berry as like our railway icon. Oh yeah, these are just examples. You can also utilize signage. I tend to always like putting down a sign somewhere, and then usually I like to do like fuel type, full, load capacity, and then we can put in 9 barrels. It has a 9-barrel load capacity. Because, again, we have 3 in here, and then 6 throughout the main body of the locomotive. And then we could... Let me just put in my company name here. Hope I spelled that correctly. It doesn't really matter. Again, these are all examples. Get some dye. Dye. Grab. Glow ink. Change that to yellow, so we have the subtle yellow color tones going on. Something like that. You can also be even more creative and like utilize signage and like letter-shaped variants, kind of like similar to stuff that goes through my my reel of illustrations that I've done. There's a lot you can do. But yeah, that's basically everything. And if we go over to our station and assemble it, everything connected as it should. The bogies went ahead and corrected themselves, as they should. And everything should be connected and functional. spot here. And nothing was left behind. That's how we do it. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can utilize when it comes to building these create trains. And of course, with every new addition of different mod add-ons and updates, we're just given more and more tools to help better our abilities at train building. So I hope this little segment, I mean, it wasn't little, it's been like 3 hours. But I hope watching me build trains in this way has helped you understand what you can do to help better your abilities in train building in the future. Have access to interface, access to the blaze burner. Come in here, open the cab roof. Fun little features and everything. We have working smoke, proper valve gear. It's all good. It's all dandy. Sorry that there were a few sections that might have been a bit confusing, especially with the gluing. Again, it takes a lot of time and practice to kind of learn and understand certain things. But again, if you're patient with yourself and you're willing to learn, then you're able to achieve anything. And I think with that, we're going to call it for stream. So thank you all very much for tuning in. I hope y'all had as much fun as I certainly did. And we'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye! Whee!